The Washington League for Increased Transparency and Ethics, whoever they may be, just filed a lawsuit against Fox News and Rupert Murdoch, claiming that some of the opinion hosts on Fox made statements that were so blatantly outrageous that they violated the Washington Consumer Protection Act and constituted the Tort of Outrage. Does this lawsuit have any merit at all? Let's find out. On March 9th, 2020, two Fox News opinion hosts made some controversial statements about the coronavirus pandemic. Although at the time, the WHO had not even declared coronavirus a pandemic. In particular, Sean Hannity, Fox News' best known and perhaps most controversial host, did a piece with the title line, "Media Uses Virus Coverage as Political Weapon." He claimed that the media was advancing a conspiracy theory and a hoax, and he compared COVID-19 to the flu. Let's roll a little bit of his show from March 9th so you can see for yourself.
If you are over the mass hysteria, if you're over politicizing and weaponizing of the coronavirus, you are not alone. That's why tonight we are focused on two major stories. First, we're going to call out anyone and everyone who's using this virus as a political weapon against the president. Sick, it's sad, but predictable. I'm sure in the end, the mob and the media, well, they will be advancing their new conspiracy theory and their newest hoax. Probably they'll come up with, hypothetically, I'm just guessing, wouldn't shock me, President Trump, Putin, mad scientists in Russia, Ukraine are manufacturing the coronavirus on purpose so they can hurt innocent children and kill grandma and grandpa before they throw them over a cliff, before they feed them dog food.
Looking back on that from April of 2020, less than a month later, that was painful to watch. However, Trish Regan, an opinion host on the Fox Business Channel that, until now, I had not heard of, actually went further. She did a piece with the title, "Dems Politicized Coronavirus." In the background under Trish Regan Primetime, you can see Coronavirus Impeachment Scam. She blamed the Democratic Party for creating mass hysteria to cause a market sell-off just to hurt President Trump. Here's a little bit from Trish Regan's March 9th show.
The chorus of hate being leveled at the president is nearing a crescendo as Democrats blame him and only him for a virus that originated halfway around the world. This is yet another attempt to impeach the president. And sadly, it seems they care very little for any of the destruction they are leaving in their wake. Losses in the stock market. All this, unfortunately, just part of the political casualties for them. You know, this is a time to be united, not to be pointing fingers, not to be encouraging hate, and yet what do we see? We see the absolute opposite from the left tonight. Good evening, everyone. I am Trish Regan. The hate is boiling over, many in the liberal media using, and I mean using, coronavirus in an attempt to demonize and destroy the president.
Before we get into the complaint itself, the plaintiff in this case is represented by Elizabeth Halleck, who happens to be an attorney as well as a Green Party candidate for governor in Washington state. That was about the only thing I could find out about either the plaintiff or their attorney. Accordingly, I am not going to speculate on what motivations the plaintiff and its attorney might have in bringing this lawsuit, and will just let you draw your own conclusions from the sparse facts that are available. Now, let's turn to the lawsuit, and in particular, let's look at the complaint. As you can see, this case was filed by the Washington League for Increased Transparency and Ethics, and it has named as defendants various Fox News entities, Rupert Murdoch, AT&T, and Comcast. The introduction sets forth the primary basis of the complaint, which is the Washington State Consumer Protection Act, or the CPA for short. Unlike many acts, the Washington legislature expressly set forth the purpose of the CPA, which is to complement federal law governing unfair, deceptive, and fraudulent acts or practices in order to protect the public. The CPA goes on to declare that unfair methods of competition and unfair or deceptive acts or practices in the conduct of any trade or commerce are hereby declared unlawful. Accordingly, from a very broad reading of the Act, the plaintiff can claim that Fox News engaged in deceptive acts during their news broadcast which is the conduct of any trade or commerce. Open and shut, right? Fox News should be off the air by the time you see this video. No, not even close. Even without getting into defenses like the First Amendment, which would potentially be relevant if there was an actual claim here, it is difficult to call those broadcasts deceptive. In particular, deceptive refers to conduct that tends to deceive. And to deceive requires that the person doing the deceiving intends to mislead or delude the target. As incredible as it may seem now, who is to say that Mr. Hannity and Ms. Regan intended to mislead anyone? Rather, at least judging from their broadcast video, I would say they actually believed what they were saying. Again, looking at those broadcasts through the lens of the reality that we are living through now, those broadcasts look insane. However, at the time they made those broadcasts, March 9, there were less than 1,000 diagnosed cases of COVID-19 in the United States, and it was not entirely unreasonable to take the position that the spread of the disease would be contained. So, just on the basis of the meaning of the term deceptive, I don't think that this claim is going to succeed. Similarly, there has already been a decision on the meaning of the terms trade and commerce. And based on that decision, this case is dead as well. In particular, in the case of Brown v. Avo, Judge Robert Lasnik explored the meaning of the terms trade and commerce. First, Judge Lasnik observed that trade and commerce are defined directly in the Washington State Code as the sale of assets or services and any commerce directly or indirectly affecting the people of the state of Washington. Judge Lasnik went on to observe that it is hard to imagine how an information clearinghouse and or rating service could be considered commerce. Similarly, it is difficult to imagine how a news reporting service, even one replete with bombastic opinion hosts like Mr. Hannity and Ms. Regan, could be considered trade or commerce either. I am sure that the plaintiff will try and make some connection through the cable subscription fees or even the ad sales that Fox conducts, but I very much doubt that will succeed. In fact, in the opinion by Judge Lasnik, the plaintiff attempted to tie ad sales on Avo, the defendant, to trade or commerce, but that theory was rejected outright. Therefore, on this additional ground, I also do not believe that the plaintiff can make out a case for a CPA claim. Now, what about the tort of outrage? Outrage is, in this context, another name for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Under Washington state law, the tort of outrage requires proof of 1. Extreme and outrageous conduct, 2. Intentional or reckless infliction of emotional distress, and 3. Actual suffering of severe emotional distress. In this case, the plaintiff is a Washington nonprofit corporation. No person is a named plaintiff. A corporation, while it may be equivalent to a person in many ways, is not capable of suffering emotional distress. The outrage count is pure garbage. Finally, plaintiff brought a claim under the Uniform Declaratory Judgments Act. Briefly, a declaratory judgment is typically used when a party is accused of wrongdoing, but the accuser does not file a lawsuit. Rather than let the matter hang out in space indefinitely, the accused party files a lawsuit seeking a declaration of the party's rights and responsibilities under the law. It is basically a way for an accused party to say, in no uncertain terms, put up or shut up. So its use in this particular lawsuit appears, at first blush, to be questionable at best. When we look at the actual allegations which involve Fox News' written contractual obligations to provide news, all doubt about the merit of this claim is erased. It has no merit. This claim is beyond preposterous and will be summarily dismissed when challenged. Accordingly, just by looking at the elements of the claim that the plaintiff has brought, it is clear, to me at least, that this lawsuit is not going anywhere. I expect that Fox will file a motion to dismiss and it will be granted, and Fox will likely follow up with a motion for attorney's fees. I am not an expert in Washington state law, but it would not surprise me at all if both the plaintiff and attorney Halleck were ordered to pay Fox's fees, which will likely be considerable. The only claim that I think might have some merit, a tiny bit, is the very first claim that we discussed, the CPA claim. I could see the court saying that there was at least a good faith basis to file that claim. Although, again, I do not think it will survive a motion to dismiss, and it would not surprise me if both the plaintiff and the plaintiff's attorney end up on the hook for Fox's legal fees. Also, given the times that we live in and the nature of this video, I'm sure that some of you watching are going to wonder about my political leanings. On that front, I am not going to say much other than I am an independent and presently support both Democratic and Republican candidates, and generally I am not a fan of Fox News. That is all that I have for you in this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to place them in the comments. I review all of them. And as always, if this video was informative or entertaining, a like would be appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, I would love to have you on board. Please subscribe and turn on notifications. And until next time, have a great day.